Hello guys and gals, Buffalo here. Today we're taking a look at the Henry Big Boy Steel Carbine. It has a 16.5-inch barrel. Overall length from the back of the butt pad to the muzzle, I measure at 35.25 inches. The gun weighs about 6.5 pounds, 6.6 pounds to be more precise. So it just makes for a really handy overall package. So as you can see, this one is chambered in 327 Federal Mag /32 H&R mag. Now you can shoot 32 longs and 32 shorts in this little gun as well. But today, I'm only going to be focusing on the 327 Fed Mag. So I'll come back and do a second video and we'll shoot a bunch of the other stuff in it. But today I wanted to focus on the main chambering here, which is the 327 Federal Magnum. So taking a look at the sights here, the rear sight is a semi-buckhorn style. It is fully adjustable. It has a screw up here that you can loosen and drift the sight left or right for your windage. It has an elevator that you can move up and down to change the height of the sight for your elevation. And it also has, for fine tuning, a little insert in that buckhorn. There's a screw here that you can loosen, and you can move that insert up and down for your fine tuning. And your front sight is a brass bead front sight, just dovetailed into the barrel. And the receiver is drilled and tapped for you if you prefer to run an optic or maybe a receiver mounted aperture sight or something like that. You've already got the holes drilled and tapped for you. Henry utilizes American walnut for their stocks. You can see the rear stock here. That's just very nice wood, very well finished. The checkering is really nice. And up here, more of the same. Just a really nice piece of wood, really good fitment. Henry does a good job on their stocks. Of course, it does come with swivel studs installed, so you're ready to mount your favorite sling. And of course, it is a Henry, so you can bet it's going to be made in the USA, or they're just not going to make it at all. Let's talk about the 327 Federal Magnum for a minute, the cartridge. It's actually a Super Magnum, or a Magnum Magnum. The 327 Federal Magnum is a lengthened, more powerful version of the 32 H&R Magnum. So you've got a Magnum Magnum. It's longer than the 32 H&R Magnum, but the case is also modified. The walls are thicker. It's not just a stretched out H&R case that they stuffed more powder into and made it more powerful. They also made some changes with the case itself. So handles way more pressure than the 32 H&R Magnum. Of course, you've got the granddaddy of them all, the 32 Smith & Wesson, or 32 short, as most people in my area call it. Then you've got your 32 long, then your H&R Magnum, and then your 327 Federal Magnum. And you can shoot all of those in this rifle. Your cycling may vary on the shorts and the longs, but it's stamped right on the barrel for the H&R and the 327 Federal Magnum, so you can cycle those for sure. But you can shoot any of them in it. It's not going to hurt it to shoot them in it. You just may not get your full cycling capabilities if you're shooting the shorts or the longs. But as I said earlier, I'll do a separate video on that. I've got some shorts and longs and some H&R Magnums that will shoot through it. But today, we're looking at this 327 Federal Magnum. Now, it has a loyal following in the revolver world. The 327's big advantage is that little 31 caliber bullet makes for I say 31 caliber, that shoots a 312 diameter bullet. I know everybody calls it a 32 caliber. It's like a 44 Magnum is actually a 43 caliber. But don't let that get you too confused. We'll call it 32 caliber just for namesake. But the 32 caliber bullet lets you get an extra round into a revolver cylinder that might only hold 5 rounds of 38 Special or 357 Magnum. It can now hold 6 rounds of 327 Federal Magnum. Now, 1 round may not sound like much, But when you're talking that low of a capacity, it makes a difference. And, you know, here in America, we love our 6-shooters. You don't hear a lot of stories about 5-shooters. We love our 6-shooters, and this will make what would normally be a 5-shot revolver into a 6-shooter. Now, in the carbine, it does really well. As far as I know, Henry's the only one that offers a rifle and a carbine in .327 Federal Magnum, and that's kind of a shame because it does really well out of that longer barrel. I'll run some chronograph footage for you right now. I averaged 2,028 feet per second over the chronograph, which that's pretty fast for a pistol caliber carbine, a pistol caliber chambering. And that allows me to zero this rifle at 100 yards, and it'll only drop about 4.5 inches at 150 yards. Again, that's pretty good performance. And this is a 100 grain bullet. You'll find these available from, generally they're available from 85 to 115 grains, the bullets on these .327 Federal Magnum loads. So it has pretty good performance, but what really got me excited over the chronograph was the low standard deviation. I had a standard deviation of 8.4 feet per second between 5 shots. That's pretty good for factory loaded ammunition, so it's really consistent. And usually, not always, but usually consistency like that is going to lead to good groups when you're shooting this thing. And I've got some pretty good groups out of it. I've had it for several months. Today we're just going to get it out and have some fun with it and shoot some steel and maybe some other things. So let's go ahead and get it out to the range. Now this carbine does hold 9 rounds of the .327. You can see the 9th round there. It does have a transfer bar safety, so you can rack one in, hold the hammer back with your thumb, pull the trigger, let the hammer go forward slightly, let your finger off the trigger. Now you can let the hammer down, and it's safe to carry like this. The transfer bar is disengaged, so the hammer can't contact the firing pin unless the trigger is held back. So we're pointed at the range. That's it's not even making contact with the firing pin, so there's a safe way to carry it. Of course, your first shot, cock it. A lot of fun. That .327 Federal Magnum, even from 70 yards out, is putting pretty good little divots in my steel targets, my AR-500 steel targets. I don't know how well you can see that on the video camera, but pretty good little divots in there. Nothing that'll make the target dangerous, but most of the stuff that I shoot on these targets don't do that. So I'm gonna do a little experiment here. I've got this big piece of mild steel. It's about 5/16 thick probably, but it's not hardened. My targets that I shoot are all hardened steel. This is just mild steel. So I'm gonna shoot it with the 327 and see what kind of marks we leave on it. All right, I've got 3 rounds in here. Shoot that piece of mild steel, see how it reacts. Look at that. I almost went through it. Didn't like much at all. All right, just for comparison's sake, I've got another great pistol caliber carbine out here. This is the Ruger PC9 9mm. I've got the magazine loaded up with 124 grain Federal Hydra-Shot. I'll shoot the left-hand side of that steel plate and see what kind of craters it makes compared to the 327 Federal Magnum. All right, so I'll move that target over here in the shade. That harsh lighting over there, I couldn't see what I was doing. So again, here's the 327 Federal Magnum divots. And I kept those spread out a little bit on purpose. You can see on the back, those just about came through. Didn't like much. And over here, the Federal Hydra-Shot in the 9mm, basically just clean the dust off. There's a tiny little divot in the middle. On the back, and you can't even tell where it's been hit. So, I've got the Defense Targets RST target set up at 100 yards. A nice little gun like this doesn't do you a bit of good if it's not accurate enough to make hits with. So let's see if I can, I've got 5 rounds in here. Let's see if I can put all 5 of them on target at 100 yards. All right, so I short stroked the lever in that last segment, but I did get all 5 hits. And, you know, the lever action, that was me, that wasn't the gun. This thing actually has a very smooth action on it. And I wanted to talk about the recoil on this thing for a minute. The recoil is just so minuscule, it's almost non-existent. The 6.5 pound weight of this carbine soaks up almost every bit of the recoil, so there's very little felt recoil left. Outstanding gun for anybody that likes to shoot to go plinking with. Excellent reloading cartridge. You know, those straight wall revolver style cartridges are just super easy to reload. Cheap to reload with those 32 caliber bullets. Just a all around awesome little gun, especially if you've already got the 327 Federal Magnum revolver to go along with it, and you're paired up then with a rifle and a revolver. So very useful. You know, I could see me hunting deer with this. I know I've been on some of the forums and people discourage that. They'll tell you that it's not enough gun to hunt deer with. But let me tell you, out of this 16.5-inch barrel carbine, you're getting better ballistics than a .357 Magnum out of a 6-inch revolver. Yet, no one will ever tell you that you can't hunt deer with a 6-inch .357 Magnum. So, you know, kind of hypocritical there. You can definitely hunt deer with this thing. Our deer here in Kentucky, we don't get those big, massive, thick-bodied deer like they do up north. This will definitely get the job done. But I've got to bring this video to a close. It's been a lot of fun. I hate to close it up, but that's about all I've got for today. I want to thank my patrons for making these videos possible. They purchased this ammo for me. You know, I don't have any ammo sponsors. Nobody sends over ammo for me to shoot. So that's where the ammo money comes from, over on Patreon. So special thanks to those guys. But that's all I've got, and I'll talk with y'all again soon.